everyone, and welcome back to A Talk to Remember. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. We are kicking off the end of week 4 of Hidden Gems, where I come to you and talk to you guys about the last 4 women that I wanted to bring to you guys today in the Bible. And this title for today is called No Happy Wife, No Happy Life. So I thank you guys so very much for being a part of this. I truly appreciate it. I pray that you guys are receiving something from this amazing word, this amazing message that God has placed in my heart. And just to let you guys know that A Talk to Remember is where I am bringing to you everything that God has placed in my heart so that I can be a blessing to you guys and provide you guys with the message and help you to build your relationship with God. And that's what it's all about here. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So we're going to start off by talking about Bathsheba. Now, Bathsheba, we know that she was actually the wife of King David at the time, but what we probably don't know is how it all really started with Bathsheba and who she is. So she was actually married to Uriah, who was a Hittite. They had a lot of ites back then, different little cities, little countries, and so she was actually married to Uriah. Now Uriah, a little backstory on him, they don't say much, but they do say that he was a part of the army of, he was a soldier, and he was part of the army of King David when he ruled in Judah. And so that's where we start that part off. David actually took Uriah's wife, saw Bathsheba laying and bathing above him, and let me just tell you that a lot of his soldiers, a lot of King David's soldiers, really just lived in close proximity or on the palace grounds. So therefore they can be close to King David. You know, if anything were to happen, if there was an attack that happened or what have you, they can be in close proximity to go ahead and take charge. So therefore David was going ahead and he was walking and things like that, and so he just so happened to see Bathsheba up there bathing, and he got one of his servants and told them to go ahead and get her. And so he summoned for her to come down, and basically he impregnated her. Yeah, y'all, he impregnated this woman. He impregnated a married woman. Jesus. David. But just like David, we have our own flaws. But anyway, he impregnated her, and he tried to cover up his adultery this entire time by trying to get Uriah to go ahead and go out with the rest of the, go back to his home and stay with his wife, sleep with his wife and everything, and eat, drink, and be merry, be happy. And Uriah was just like, no, that's not who I am. Uriah was very faithful. He was very trustworthy to King David. So therefore he stayed with his army. He stayed with the rest of the soldiers, and he slept right by outside the palace walls, the gates. So therefore that's how Uriah was, and King David was trying so hard to cover up everything that he was doing with this pregnancy that was happening, and it didn't happen. It wasn't working. So he decided to put Uriah out on the forefront of battle that was getting ready to happen in a few days. And that's exactly what it did, where he knew he would get killed, and that's exactly what happened. And so uh, word got back to Bathsheba, and she cried and she mourned his death. And after some days or weeks may have passed, that's when David decided to go ahead and marry Bathsheba. And of course, God was seeing all of this play out. He talked to David and told him about his his actions and getting that man what killed, and also impregnating his wife. And he knew that it was wrong, and he told David of what he was going to do and all of these different things. But I don't want to get too much into it. But anyway, Bathsheba ended up, she got pregnant, and she had their first son together. Unfortunately, because of what David did, God did not allow that child to live very long. And so I think the child lived for about 6 days, and the child died. King David was just horrified. He was just, in mourning, didn't want to do anything. And then he finally got himself together after he found out that the child died, and he knew that he couldn't do, he thought that he would be able to beg and plead himself through it, and God would say, that's okay, I'll go ahead and spare the child's life. But unfortunately, that did not happen. And the child died anyway. And because whatever God says, whatever comes out of the Lord's mouth, that's what's going to happen. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. If he's already said it, it's going to happen. So there's nothing that you can say or do to turn that thing around. So anyway, yeah, so they lost their first son together. And but later on, it probably been months or years later, they decided to try for another child. And they actually had a son. God blessed them with another son, and they named him King Solomon, or Solomon. And so he actually became the next heir to the throne after King David passed away. But with Bathsheba, she actually conspired with the prophet Nathan, who actually worked with King David at the time. She conspired with the prophet Nathan to make sure her son Solomon would be the next in line to become king, instead of David's other son, Abijah, or no, I'm sorry, Adonijah, or look, it is very hard to pronounce this man's name. But King David had 2 wives that I know of, and that are talked about in the Bible. And so with those 2 wives, he actually had, multiple children. And Adonijah is one of the children, and of course Solomon is one of the children. So therefore, and they were by 2 different mothers. So Bathsheba wanted to make sure that her son was the next in line to become king. So she conspired with prophet Nathan to make sure that that actually happened, and that's exactly what happened. So these are some bad mamas, okay? They make sure that they do all that they need to do in order to make sure that, they get what they want, they get what they need to. And she wanted to also make sure that she became the queen. And that's exactly what happened. And so, yeah, that's her life. So let's go ahead and get right into Job's wife. Now, Job's wife, we all know, y'all. If you know Job, if you know the book of Job, you know how he was really like truly blessed by God. Like every single thing that was good happened to Job. God blessed him like nobody been blessed before. Like Job and God were like this. Job did everything that God wanted him to do, and in return God blessed him time and time again. But in that time, one day, God and the devil had a conversation. The devil was like, you do all these good things for Job. Let me go ahead and twist it a little bit. Provide me with the opportunity to attack Job in these ways. And God was like, okay, you can attack him. You can take away, this and that and the other from him, but I rest assure you that he is still going to be faithful to me. And he made sure, he told the devil to not attack him. Don't attack Job. You can attack everything around him, but do not attack him. Do not kill him. Do not put your hands on him. So the devil went ahead and he did that. He attacked Job in these ways of taking away his children, taking away his land, and everything. Now, in the midst of all of this, it was still Job and his wife that was left. His wife was a witness to everything that was going on. And Job knew exactly, that God was, really allowing this to happen and really testing his faith at this moment in time. But Job didn't let up. But what did happen was Job's wife, who we don't know, who remains nameless because we don't know her name, and doesn't talk about it in the Bible, but she gets to the point where she's had enough. She's fed up with what God is doing and how he's attacking their life. But Job is like, I'm gonna remain faithful because God has blessed me with so much. I know that he's not going to allow this to happen, or he's not going to allow this to continue, and things of that nature. And so Job's wife, she becomes so upset with Job, and she becomes so upset with God, and she's just like, Job, you need to commit suicide. You need to kill yourself. You need to just let it go, because this is not going to get any easier. You need to just end it completely. Now, first of all, you telling your husband to end his life, what are you going to do? Are you going to end your life? You telling him to end his life, but you're not talking about ending your life. Ain't that some mess? So then she continues on, and she continues to get even more fed up, and she's like, Job, you need to curse God. Sis, why don't, you're telling Job about all the different things that he needs to do. What are you doing? How come you're not standing up for your husband? If your husband is in it, if he hasn't let up with God, why are you letting up with God? Why are you trying to curse God? Why are you having doubts of what God is doing? If you've seen that he has blessed you time and time again, you and your family, this entire time, why don't you have the strength? Why don't you be that rock that Job needs in his time? Why are you giving him such a hard time during this hard time? And both of you, it's not just Job that's going through it, it's you too. I can understand that you're frustrated, but why are you taking this all out on Job and what he needs to do? But of course, during those times, once again, the man was the head of the household, truly, where he was in charge and had authority over everything of how things went. What they thought, what they ate, just everything. He was in charge. So therefore, she's telling Job, hey, you need to do this. You need to do that. Basically being in Job's ear and being that little devil on the side and being like, you need to do this and that and the other. But Job was not letting up. But yeah, that's Job's wife. She was horrible. in that way. Um, but moving on, we have Potiphar's wife. Now, if you guys know about Potiphar's wife, she actually is the one who was married to Potiphar, of course. She was married to Potiphar, who was the captain of Pharaoh's guard. She is famous for seducing Joseph. And Joseph actually just got to the palace and was helping Pharaoh with the dreams that he was having. And because Joseph was known for talking about and helping people decipher the dreams that they were having that wouldn't go away. So God basically blessed him with this gift of being able to help people know and understand their dreams. And so that's the reason why he was at the palace. And so Potiphar's wife actually enjoyed the way that Joseph looked. Now, they say in the Bible, Joseph was very handsome, very good looking. And Potiphar's wife actually saw that. And she wanted a piece of Joseph. Joseph was very faithful to the palace, to the people in the palace who were in charge, who were in authority. And he was not going to do that. He was not going to succumb to the seduction of Potiphar's wife. So, but he was not going to be rude, because at this time, Potiphar's wife actually summoned for him to come to her room. She was in bed, she had no clothes on, and she wanted Joseph to sleep with her. Joseph refused time and time again. She said, this, that, and the other. She tried any and everything that she possibly could in order to get him to come into bed with her. But he refused time and time again. He was like, no, that ain't how I roll. So she got very angry and upset, and she tore off his clothes. And as he was trying to run away, he got away. And as he was running away, she decided to go ahead and yell for the guards to come and capture Joseph. And she accused him of raping her. And so for that, Joseph was put in prison. Yeah. But anyway, that's Potiphar's wife. She was horrible. She was known for being a seducer, known for being, an accuser, a horrible person in this way, and trying to get what she wanted from people by being able to seduce them in these ways. And because she was unsuccessful with this one person, she decided to accuse him of something that he did not do. Moving on to Gomer. Gomer doesn't sound really like a woman's name, but that's her name. She was the wife of the prophet Hosea. God told him to actually marry her. So Gomer was actually, she was a prostitute. She was a promiscuous woman. She got around, to say the least. And God actually told Hosea to marry her. Now, the reason why God told Hosea to marry her was because he actually had a part, of course, to play in the situation. There was a reason behind him marrying her. But time and time again throughout their marriage, she was not satisfied She was not comfortable. That was not her role. She was not used to being a wife. She was not used to being a wife to one person, being around one person, um, sleeping with one person. So she ran away and she went back to her normalcy, what felt comfortable to her. And she decided to run away from home and become a prostitute, really, for someone else. And so Hosea was told by God to go buy her back and help her through her issues, because she was going through a lot. This was a new thing for her, to become a wife, become a mother. She was just not used to that. She was used to roaming the streets, going from house to house, doing different things, with different men. And when all of that is, when you're taken away from your normalcy and you're put in a position to make something else become normal to you, you're basically taken out of your comfort zone and put into a different element, put into deep waters. You just like, wait a minute, what is going on? So Hosea actually bought her back, and he did what God told her to do, or told him to do. Commentators say that this similar situation happens with Israel and God. So remember, Israel was in Egypt for 400 years. So therefore, they were in Egypt for a very long time, and they were slaves, actually, and they were. So God decided to get his people back. He decided to use certain people, such as Moses, to go ahead and tell Pharaoh to let his people go. And he basically bought them with his life, bringing down Jesus and the whole nine. So anyway, but yeah, that's the similar situation that the commentators were talking about between God and Israel. And that's what was going on with Gomer and Hosea, what needed to take place in order to help her to get on track, to leave what she knew that was normal, to come into something new and much better, much greater for her life, to break that cycle, break that chain. And so, yeah, that's exactly what he did. But anyway, I pray that this was great. It was kind of crazy. I will say it was kind of crazy because there were some things that I did not expect. Even with, doing this myself, reading it, doing research and everything, I did not expect this to be this crazy. But I will say that each and every one of these women, I truly appreciate, because they all tell a story, they all have a story. And I wanted to be able to emphasize and bring their story to life, and for us to hone in on a story, because we always hear about the men and what the men did, but we seldomly hear about the women in the Bible. And so this is not all of the women in the Bible, but this is just a snippet of their lives, and the women that I decided to go ahead and talk about in the Bible. Some that I didn't even know about, and some that I wanted to just share with you guys, their stories that needed to be told and heard. So I pray that you guys receive something from this message. And I pray that you guys go ahead and go back to the other messages and check them out. But I thank you so very much for being a part of this series. I truly, truly appreciate it. I pray that you guys want to learn more and want to dig deeper into the other women in the Bible, and just learning from them, and just knowing that each and every one of them had a story. Each and every one of them God used for a reason, and for us to learn more and know more about the women in the Bible, that it wasn't just about the men that everybody talks about, but it was the women who were powerful, who were strong and courageous, who truly made things happen in different ways, and who really learned from their mistakes and turn their lives around for the better. So I pray that you guys continue to listen and tune in. I pray that you guys like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys, and also share it. And thank you guys so very much. Until then, I'll see you next time.